So I've set up a little branch to make a pruning video, so let's dive right in. So yeah, if I had someone asking me about where to prune to, one of the first things I would say is if you look for like a union. So what is a union? So that's where like two branches share the same area. Sometimes like a V shape or a U shape, depending on how good or bad the union is. If it's a tight V shape, then it might have included bark where the bark wraps in. If it's got bark that puckers out, it'll form what we call the BBR, which is a bark branch ridge. So it's very important when you're pruning to look for these unions. So you can see like one here, one up there. You just see the pattern where they grow from. One there. Obviously different angles for wherever you're cutting in the tree. But yeah, some more favourable than others. But yeah, that's roughly where you'd be looking to cut to. So obviously I haven't got a handsaw because it's too small diameter stuff to cut with a handsaw. So I just got my secateurs with me. So if you say, for instance, you would either if it's on a ladder or if you're actually climbing from a rope and harness, and you're just going up to prune this branch back here. I mean, this would be a good area to cut to. I'll do that, and then you see a natural branch left to carry on growing. So yeah, cut to a union. So and then if we go down to this one here and snip it off, yeah, again, cut to a union, got a natural flow of the branch. Now, a lot of the time what you'll see when, you know, like a customer or someone that's maybe like not as quite as educated, and why would they be, to be fair? You know, they do what they do, we do what we do. They would go like into what we call internodal. So you've got like, say, two branches like that, and then they would cut, I'm not going to do it, but they would cut straight there. You know, and then it leaves a little peg that's going to die back, and then further die back come into this branch here, and so on and so forth. So also to keep it looking natural, we want to keep it, you know, natural branches coming off the cut. You want to keep your branch carries on growing 1/3 the diameter of the cut surface, keeping the cut as small as possible. So yeah, a lot of it's going to be when you're going out along a branch, going up till you find that 1/3 cut. Obviously, if you're cutting something that's a lot smaller, then that's different, because you know you're not going to find the same kind of thing. But if you're on a slightly larger shrub or tree, you look for your 1/3 to leave your 1/3 cuts in the canopy. So yeah, so we can see we go right down to here. You might be looking to go all the way along the branch, and if you're reducing a tree, bringing the weight back in, especially if it's overweighted at the end, you might want to be cutting here, taking this one off. So that'd be another trim there. So you still got a natural-ish shape. It's never going to be as natural as the tree intended, because they know what they're doing, basically. Obviously I'll tidy that one up a bit closer. Yeah, so you'll be pruning back like that, and that'll be it. Top branch ridge, so basically that's this puckered up area here. It's quite hard to actually draw, but it's like the area of bark that kind of gets squeezed up in between this union. And then underneath that you've got the tree collar, so there's like a swollen area. It's not always swollen like that, but sometimes it is. So sometimes it will swell out like that while this is all puckering up here. So very important you cut in front of the bark branch ridge and don't touch it at all, and then at an angle come down to where the collar is. If the collar isn't there, I kind of advise making the smallest cut possible. They used to say a mirror image. So like that one would be like that, but really like the smallest cut possible really is what you're kind of aiming for, you know, without leaving a peg. So you don't want it to be too far up and leaving a peg. So it's kind of at your discretion to a degree. So this is a side angle of it, and then this is a front angle. This is what you're going to be left with for your bark branch ridge going around both sides. Your cut must be even, and then this will form then a callus that looks like a bit like a donut, and then that will go down to like the size of a pinprick, and then that will completely close, hopefully, before any disease sets in or anything like that. So yeah, your areas to remember: you got your bark branch ridge. Always cut in front of that, so don't cut any of that little triangle there. So cut in front of that, and then follow that down. If you're lucky enough to have a swollen collar, then cut to just above that. If not, you have to assume a collar, and that is what you're looking for. So yeah, that's my video for today.